for color and flexible image, we have a whole bunch of different properties. First off, with this new flexible image component, we're just going to add a little bit of chamfer. Then we can go into color. So we have 4 different color sections: the primary color, outline, procedural, gradient, and pattern. And each of these sections can have up to a 3 by 3 vertex color gradient. So we can assign different colors that way. For now, we're just going to do that 2 by 2 just to demonstrate some stuff. And we can assign a different color for each corner. And because this is vertex color, the shader doesn't know about any of this. This is all just going through C# and assigning different colors to different vertices. And because it's vertex color, it depends on the mesh itself, depending on, will determine how it gets displayed. So by default, as soon as we have anything above a 1 by 1, we will apply a little bit of subdivision, but we could also remove the subdivision, and then you can sort of see in the mesh where the line between the 2 vertices would be right there. Or we could flip that, and then the line would be there, or we could do an X topology, and then we'd have a line here and there. So we basically have 4 triangles instead of 2, and we use X. But for now, we'll put that to 2, or we can even bump it up a little bit. And we also have advanced options for vertex color gradients. We can rotate the gradient, like so. We can also change the position and the scale per axis, and we also have wrap mode per axis. By default, it's on clamp. We can also change that to repeat, and then we can see that we're repeating. So we can zero that out again, and we can change the scales. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, and that can be pretty powerful, and it's a good lever to use for animation, since you can just like apply a rotation, or you can zoom in, zoom out, etc. But for now, just let's go down to a 1 by 2 gradient, and we'll have white, and we'll have red. And again, if we were in advanced mode, we could potentially change the position in order to change how that looks. But I'm going to use the defaults for now. So moving on, we have the outline section, which can also have multiple colors. So we could have, say, white and black, and another white up there, and then we can add an outline, and then we could see what it might look like if we rotate that. So it's kind of cool. But for now, we're going to go 1 by 1. And we can demonstrate this last field here in the primary color is this fade property. And that's going to fade out the primary color without fading out anything else. So we could have patterns and gradients, and those will stay, except for the primary color will go. Now, if we had the fade all the way up, and I'll just put this 1-to-1 to demonstrate, but the alpha value of the color will fade, of the primary color will fade everything out, or we could just fade out the top half, the bottom half, what have you. So we'll keep that right there for now. We're going to take off that gradient and take off that pattern and come back to outline. So we can have the outline grow inwards, and we can have it grow outwards with the expand outwards. And you might notice if you look at these corners that as it expands, the chamfer on those corners goes down, and then they eventually goes away. But the chamfer on the outline itself stays constant. So there's something we can do about that. We can use this massage chamfer box, and now we will always have that same 100 point chamfer on the interior. And the exterior will basically have, if we have 100 width, the chamfer will be 100 extra points, basically. And those are in canvas units. Anything that's not 0 to 1 tends to be in canvas units here. So let's go down to the shape, and let's take the chamfer off. There we go. To demonstrate another thing that massage chamfer can do. So we have this fade to perimeter toggle, and if I toggle that on, it basically takes the alpha channel of the outline and it reduces it as we get further out from the interior, all the way down to 0 at the very edge. And if we go like, we could do shadows, we could do glows. If we make this white, you should be able to see what are called mock bands along the diagonals. And these are actually, they look like they're brighter or lighter, but they aren't. It's an optical illusion. But we could get rid of those if we press massage chamfer, and now we have a nice even glow around the perimeter. Or if we have it dark, then we have a nice even shadow. And yeah, sorry, there it is, massage chamfer. And without it, we have those mock bands again. So we can also, with this fade to perimeter, we also have this option up here, alpha is blend. And if we take fade to perimeter off and just click, or if we just change the alpha, we can see that now we're fading the outline in and out. But if we select alpha is blend and do the same thing, now we're just blending with everything underneath, which in this case is just the primary color. And each of these sections can be blended with everything that's underneath it, and so you can kind of combine different colors that way, and it's super powerful. But this is kind of cool when we do fade to perimeter, and we'll massage that, and then we select alpha's blend, because the alpha is reducing as it goes out from the interior. Now we have a cool effect where we're actually, the further we get out, the more we blend in with what's underneath. And that's kind of cool. We can also add an interior outline. That would be based on the stroke. So if we add a stroke and toggle that, then we have an interior outline. And that's a kind of cool effect already, right there. So another thing we can do, let's turn off massage chamfer for a second and make that nice and big. Take that away, remove the stroke. So here's one thing that happens if we collapse an edge here in the shape section. You can sort of see how you may or may not want this. But you can see here how we're sort of cut off up here, down here and up here. And if we do massage collapse, then it just extends the shape further so that we can get the full corners. And then of course we can do massage chamfer and works the same way. But let's get rid of that. We can reduce these, and let's move on here to procedural gradient. Before I do, just for the sake of making this more fun, let's add a little bit of something like that. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll reduce the size. And let's also massage chamfer and add chamfer like this, chamfer like that, and we'll make those 1 and 1, just to demonstrate this next feature. So next we have procedural gradients, and we have the same alpha is blend toggle that we can use, as well as we can change the dimensions of the vertex color gradient. We have 4 main different categories here. The first is the SDF, or assigned distance field category, and we can use this to basically draw a ring around the SDF shape at a certain distance and going a certain distance. And then we can change the reach from the outer ring and the inner ring if we want also. And if we want, we can also invert that. And we have a cool feature here where, let's say, so pointer adjust position. Now, if I press play, Now, the position of the pointer or mouse cursor is going to reveal the gradient. So that's a cool effect to make things a little bit more lively. And we'll get out of play for now. Going into the angle gradient, and let's make this more visible. So yeah, blue is pretty visible. The angle gradient is just saying we're going to have an angle, and we can change the strength on one side of the angle and the other side of the angle. If we want something that's nice and sharp, we can get that. So at 0, it affects none of the image, and at 1, it consumes the whole image. Same thing on the other side. And we can also move that up, down, and if we wanted to, we could have that pointer adjusted. Also, I'm going to disable that for now. Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's demonstrate this actually. So if this is pointer adjusted, then it will just follow the pointer, and if we put the position somewhere else, it will have an offset. So we might, here's another feature. So for the pattern and procedural gradient sections, these can be set to the interior region, the outline region, or both. So if we just had that in the outline and we made the size bigger, now that's also another kind of cool effect that you can have. But let's get out of play mode for now. We'll disable that, go into radial. And radial is basically just circles or ovals, and we can change the size. 0 consumes none of the image, 1 consumes the entire image again. And we can change the strength or fall off. Here, let's see. So we have this toggle for aspect correction, and basically if you watch what happens as I make this non-square, then the gradient gets stretched. But with aspect correction, it will stay a perfect circle, and that's all there is there. And moving on to the last one, which is very cool, is we have the conical gradients. And conical gradients, we can change the position, we can change the size, everything, all of that, and we can change the angle. And unlike some other implementations I've seen, the angle is perfectly anti-aliased, regardless of whether it's at a right angle or not. We can change the strength, again, from 0, which takes up none of the image, to 1, which will consume the entire image. And with the strength, we can also change the curvature, and then we get a little bit of a seashell type appearance. And this could be kind of cool if we, say, go down here, and then we change the strength, and we can have kind of cool effect there. One thing to note about these gradients is we can also put them in screen space. So if we put this in screen space, and let's see, I'll just do something that's more easily visible here. So we'll do an angle, and we'll make it garishingly green. How about? And in screen space means that now we're centered at like 0.5, 0.5 would mean the center of the screen, 0, 0 would be down here. If we copy and paste this component, we can see that the gradient is spanning both objects. That's because they're both doing screen space gradients, and both screen space gradients have the same properties, and that's true if we rotate the objects or what have you. So that could be useful for a number of effects, or if you want a more integrated look where you have elements that are spanning multiple game objects. Last thing to note about these procedural gradients is that they're intelligently dithered, and you probably won't be able to tell this on the YouTube video. You'll probably see a lot of banding because of compression, but it's very difficult, almost impossible, for these guys to exhibit any banding. At the worst, you might see a little bit of a hint of where banding might be when things are in motion, when the gradient's moving along. But in a static context, you'll pretty much never see banding, regardless of how subtle the gradient is. You could go from two very close shades and you won't see any banding there. The last section here is the pattern section, and with patterns, basically we have four categories again. We have lines, shapes, grids, and fractals. These as well can be either in the outline, the interior, or everything. Specifically for line and shape gradients, we can set a speed property, and then they can move to act like scan lines. We could do alpha is blend and then have a nice sort of blended scan line like that. But I'm going to turn that off for now, or we'll keep a little bit of it. We can also do a static offset instead, and then that will determine exactly where the pattern is if we want to set it ourselves. So we have horizontal, vertical, slash, and backslash patterns. In shape, we have diamond patterns, and let's zero that. We have diamond patterns, circle patterns, square patterns, and what I'm calling cross patterns. So here also we can set the origin, so it could be center, left, top, bottom, so on. So for example, you might use the diamond pattern and the left origin with a little bit of speed, and now you have a bit of a charge bar, if that makes sense. It doesn't really look like one, but there, now it looks like one. But moving on here, we also have grid type patterns, and we have diamond grids, and we have square grids. And we can set the size of the grid, and then we can set the fill. So that's pretty cool. Last, we have fractals. And this basically works. We have a grid, and we can change the density of the grid, and we can change the fractal pattern. So this is nice if you want like a cheese grater or little stars or polka dots, but you can also get something a little bit more crazy if you push the slider to either extreme. So just like with the procedural gradients, these also have a screen space toggle, and if I actually, let's first leave that unchecked, and then we can see that the pattern will move with the object. But if we move from object space to screen space, then the pattern stays the same, which can be a kind of cool effect to have. And these can be handy in terms of like, let's say we make this black. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with this, but this is just one of the more cool use cases. Go to grid, let's go to outline, and we're black on black, but that's fine. Let's deselect alpha is blend and put the alpha to 0. And now we have a little bit of a defenestrated pattern, if you can see that, or square grid. Yeah. So that's a kind of cool effect, and I'm actually using that in some of the preview images. So that's pretty much it for color. There's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of really cool things that you can discover because there's so many levers, and they tend to be force multiplicative with one another. So the main thing to realize is that you have the 4 different sections, and each of those sections are vertex colors, vertex color gradients, and those have advantages and disadvantages. So just to show a disadvantage is if we go like a low amount of subdivisions, go X, go like that, for example, and let's say we want to ping pong both sides, and then we reduce that. Let's actually get some other different colors in there. Let's go all the way down to 0.5, 0.5, 1. Oh, yes, we need at least some subdivisions. There we go. Or 2. And now you can really see sort of the grid, but it's possible that this is an effect that you want, and you could get like a bit of a funky disco effect. It's very specific, but it just sort of demonstrates how things work under the hood. But generally with the gradient colors, you're going to be wanting to use most of the time 2x2 type grid, or if you're 3x3, you want a few more subdivisions. And you generally want to keep it more subtle rather than having harsh transitions between colors. But that's what the procedural gradient section is for, is to basically get you the best of both worlds. So you have the vertex color that's really cheap, and the procedural gradient that's that's incredibly powerful and specific. Yeah, so that's the walkthrough of color. Probably went on a little bit longer than I should have. Yeah, I hope you buy the asset, because this is just scratching the surface. We have a whole bunch of other functionality in terms of shape and animation and a whole bunch of stuff. Take care.